Good afternoon and welcome to XSell Live. I'm your host, Korah Hart, coming to you from the sunny Phoenix, Arizona today. Drop into the comments where you're joining us from, or if you have any questions, and we'll try to get those answered. Today, I have special guest Kristen Cantrell. She is the lady that wears many hats, wife to a car enthusiast, mom to two wild boys, real estate group leader of Connect and Cultivate, host of Moms in Real Estate podcast, an Airbnb super host, and master connector are just a few. Let's welcome Kristen Cantrell.
Hi. Thank you
How
so much for having me, Korah.
I'm really glad that you could join me today. It's great to have you here. So, you wanted to talk about how to get in front of people through events. So,
Yeah.
explain what that means.
Well, you know what? I feel like this is something that I'm really passionate about just because I feel like when I started in the real estate industry, I started in a recruiting role. And a lot of the stuff that was out there for recruiters was very much like you just print out a list of like a brokerage list and you go down and you call every person on that list and you had a script to follow. And when I would do that, I felt so unauthentic. I was lying. It was a script that was like I was following their business and I could double their production and I didn't know anything about anything. So it was just kind of like the only trainings that were out there. And so what I found, what I learned pretty quick was I really enjoyed being face to face with people. So I needed to create my own opportunity of how am I going to do that? And so when I really dove into what that looked like, I actually started a podcast to put my ideal client in front of me, in the seat across from me, which is Moms in Real Estate. I started that 6 years ago. In our brokerage, we used to do a ton of trainings, which are events. So we would do trainings and I would just invite everybody. And that kind of got me a taste of, okay, if I can just like invite people to things, like I can build relationships with them and I've got it from there. And I built out kind of my value and like my what I was going to be an expert in along the way. But I would create these events that people were hungry for just because I would talk to them and they'd tell me. And I would just invite everybody. And it's how I built community in our real estate community. It was how I could bring value to them. It's how I could connect other people because I was in front of real estate agents every single day, all day. So if I'd be talking to another agent and they would tell me what their needs are, I'd be like, oh my gosh, you need to connect with Korah. Like she has the answer for you. And when I just went out and I did stuff like that, I built a super successful business and I love doing it. I do it to this day. I do big events, I do small events, I do you name it. And so it's just really been a lot of fun. And I try to encourage real estate agents to take that same concept and how can you show up in front of your ideal client and provide a space for them to where it's like something that they've been craving and facilitate the whole event for them. So that's a little bit about it.
So, you recommend doing it primarily just for recruiting, or do you think you could use that as a real estate agent to get to know other agents, build that connection there so that you have better business prospects? It could kind of be used in any direction, right?
It could be any business. So, like, for example, my best friend just got her esthetician license, and I make her come to all my events. I'm like, listen, when you have a business, you have something to sell, whether it's a product or a service. And so you have to get your ass in front of people. So, I'm always encouraging people, it doesn't matter what business you own. Sometimes people are like, well, you're not a real estate agent. Well, guess what? Like we're all in the business of getting in front of people and building relationships. And so that's where you have to understand it's just going out and meeting people. I actually heard a girl, her name's Lori Harder. She's local here in Phoenix. Super awesome girl. I heard her speaking at a women's event. And one of the things she said that I was like, that resonates with me so much is she said that she just goes out to like events and she collects people. And she said it and she wasn't being flippant. She was just saying, like, I'm out just like you never know when you meet somebody where that relationship can go. It can go so many different ways. So if you go out and you meet people and you learn about them and you ask them how you can help them with their goals and you're just like servant hearted and actually genuinely building a relationship with them, you build a successful business. So, yeah.
And that's pretty much how I feel about it. I always try to be authentic, and I feel like when I'm just talking to somebody authentically that I have so much more to say and information that I can always give them, and that helps a lot in building those connections. And that's
Yeah, and
probably
you
one of my favorite things about my job.
Yeah, then you have fun. If you are authentic and you're putting your ideal client in the cross from you, you genuinely want to hear what they're up to and you genuinely want to learn about them. So it's not hard. It's prospecting, but you're not doing it with a cold lead off Zillow or a cold lead from wherever. Like my sister built her business off of she's an esthetician too, off of Groupon at first. And, like you get some weird people that come in and like, which I totally think there's a space for that and it's icing on the cake. But I feel like, how are you getting in front of people that you enjoy being around and like really being intentional with that? And that's what events does for me. Like, this week I have, what do I have? I have a skin night. So I do these every quarter and I do, they're just easy. They're at my house. We have a Botox lady, a facial lady, an ear piercing lady. I always bring in another element. This time I'm having my friend who owns a bar studio do breathing techniques. And so I just like get a bunch of wine, I get appetizers, I put on music, and I facilitate the event. And the event is not about business, it's about connecting with other people. So my voice to everyone that I have come is grab your phone and go scroll through your phone until you find somebody that you want to connect with and invite them, because it's something that's easy and it's not salesy and you're not talking about business, but you're just like including people. And I will tell you right now, it's not just COVID, because even when I started doing this 7 years ago, it's people love to be invited, people love to be included, and people are dying for community. So if you can be that person that brings it to them, it's definitely like very rewarding.
I agree, and I love building connections as well. I do mine a little bit differently. I like to go outdoorsy and do hiking and adventure groups.
Yes.
So, like, we
Yeah.
actually went tubing last week, and it was kind of fun. I met 32 new people,
See, that's perfect.
and
I love
it was fun. We
being
laughed
done
and had fun.
with.
So, I
Yeah,
think next
that's
week we're kayaking. So, get in shape while I'm outside doing something.
See, and that's like exactly a prime example. Like sometimes it doesn't need to be anything other than just going out and having fun with people, you know?
And getting over the fear, because I know it's hard sometimes to meet new people. They always say get comfortable being uncomfortable, and that is the most true statement I've ever heard. I always find myself when I'm uncomfortable, and I love that.
It's such a great statement because I can't tell you how many events that I've facilitated where people like they aren't talking to each other at first. And I'm like, I literally have to just call everybody out and be like, you guys, like, talk to each other. Like, that's why you're here. And then I'll also tell you, I had a big event in April and there was like almost 200 people there. And I had probably between 5 and 10 people come up to me and tell me that was so out of their comfort zone. They came by themselves. Hi, Christy. And they came by themselves and they like absolutely were so thankful that they put themselves in that situation where they were get comfortable being uncomfortable, because like there's so many things that you can think about where you're like, oh, I don't want to go do that. But then when you do it, you're so happy. I always relate it to snowboarding because it's such a process to get myself to the mountain. And but once I'm up there, I'm like, I'm so thankful I went through all of that to get here.
I
And
was
so I
going to
kind of
say,
think
you live in Arizona, so that's a little bit of a stretch for you.
it's only 3.5 hours, but yes, I know. It's just the whole thing. It's like, so anything worthwhile, it takes a lot of effort.
I agree. And I think that's just it. If you're putting in the effort and you're trying and you're really putting yourself out there, it makes a huge difference in your life and your career. And
Mm-hmm.
finding something that you enjoy. And with all of the things that we have on social media now to get connected with other people, it's easier than ever. But I find that we're burying ourselves in pointless tasks, avoiding it. And so that's something I think we all could step out of and try to get over.
Oh my gosh, every day it's a struggle.
It is, because you want to like just
Appointment
look at
apps.
your emails or check your text messages. And if you just get up and go, it's so much better for you.
Mm-hmm.
So how did
Absolutely.
So, how did you set up your first event? How did you come up with your guest list and how did you start growing it?
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember my first event. Honestly, it's been so long. But I will tell you to get started. When I'm teaching this, I always talk about. Um, I have a whole worksheet that you go through, and if anybody wants it, they can reach out to me, and I'll find it and give it to you. But first, start with like, who is your ideal client? And ask yourself the questions like, what are their needs? How can you serve them? How can you bring them value? So, for example, if I was to say small business owners in Gilbert, Arizona, I would say, okay, perfect. Small business owners in Gilbert, Arizona, what are their needs? Because other business owners do not have a lot of collaboration. So, how can you bring these business owners, all different industries, together and provide a space for collaboration? And it's kind of like, people do those, what are those groups called? BNIs. But I do it a little bit different. I'm like, put like a trendy spin on it where it's like, it's just a lot of fun and you have like super relevant topics and you have like maybe you bring in guest speakers or whatever it is, but you identify that. And then when you identify like the whole event, then you can create an Excel spreadsheet and you can do like a hit list. And so my hit list has everybody's names, their social media handles, like anything that I can find out about them. And then I go through and if I like to do stuff through Instagram because that's authentic to me because I'm on Instagram all the time. So if I was to go find business owners that I like, I'd go to their business page. I would really dive into their business page and then I'd message them and I'd compliment them and I'd compliment their business. And I would say, hey, I'm also a local business owner here in Gilbert, Arizona. I'm putting together this group. Like, I would love for you to be a part of it. Do you want to hear about it? They're going to say yes if you come across authentic, if you come across genuine, which you are, if that's in your wheelhouse. And then you would just get on a call with them, go have coffee with them, and tell them about what your plan is and see if they want to come along and do it with you. And just create a whole list of people that you can call.
I love that. So, you just start networking and finding one person at a time.
Yep.
And
And then
I would absolutely love if you would share that list because I think it would
yeah.
help a lot of people.
Yeah, and then the thing to think about too is like you can't just one and done an event. Like an event is a whole so the reason I do skin night every quarter is because I have to stay relevant to people, right? So I have to constantly have a calendar full of things to do. The skin night, for example, it's the leading up to the skin night. It's the conversations before the skin night. It's the actual skin night and then what is happening after the skin night to where I'm still relevant to them. So when you're creating an event, think about the whole process around it and how you're connecting with people, and then think about afterwards, what does your conversations with them after look like, and are you still able to get in front of them? So otherwise, it's, to me, it's out of sight, out of mind. If I don't, and I it's not like a mean thing, but I literally, if I do not see or hear from somebody, I do not think about them. So it's like people have to stay in front of you to stay like top of mind.
And I think that's becoming more true because everybody is busy and go, go, go. So if you're not finding a way to stay right there and connect with them continually, that's exactly what happens in today's society. There's too many distractions.
Yeah. And one thing to point out too is sometimes people are like, I would rather die than do the events like Kristen does. I totally get that. I'd rather die than cold call, right? So it's like, don't ever feel like if this isn't feel good to you, don't do it. You got to find something that feels good to you. And don't ever try to do something that doesn't like
I've been to
fit.
your events, Kristen. Your Flourish event that you put on is amazing.
So fun.
Absolutely love that one.
Yes.
It's probably one of my favorite. And I'm going to share a comment really quick. Ladies' night with wine boxes, Botox parties. That sounds like a blast. I love it. And I
Yes.
can't see who you are, but that sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's like exactly it's such an easy invite. And the
Is
other
it?
thing too to think about when you start doing events, I will tell you, it sucks at first. You might literally have to pull in your sister, your mom, whoever you can to come and support you because you might have one person show up. That does not mean it's a fail. You have got to create something that's consistent and keep doing it because it will pay off if you keep at it. Most people won't continue to do something after no one shows up. Maybe they'll do it once, maybe they'll do it 2 or 3 times, but they will all of a sudden stop. So it takes perseverance. Like, I literally will have my sisters come to a lot of my stuff if it's the first time I'm launching something like don't have shame in that. And another thing too, you have to do is create FOMO online, because even when people don't show up, they're watching you. And I have so many people who want to come to my events but can't for whatever reason over the years, that will literally, anytime I see them, be like, I love watching what you're doing online. Like, one day I'm going to make your event, right? So it's like, I'm still top of mind to them. Like, it's okay that they didn't come. So but I show up consistently. So it creates those conversations for me all the time.
I love that. And so do you get advertising paid for through lenders or your title company? How do you do that?
That's a hard question. Over the years, yes. I've recently started my own group under the EXP platform over the last year, where I've been thinking and incorporating more vendor partners. It really has to make sense for the most part. And I was just talking to one of my friends about if I hear an echo, I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
You should be good now.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so if there's somebody who would also be like an ideal client for me, somebody I enjoy spending time with, somebody that I really like admire their business, that's a good vendor partner for me. One thing I have said a lot lately is, can't just have somebody up at your events just because they're paying, X amount of dollars to be there, because it kills the vibe. So what's the vibe of the event, and who makes sense to be sponsoring it, and how do they sponsor it? Are they throwing up on stage just talking about what they can do for you, or are they going and building relationships at your event? So my conversations to my vendor partners has changed a lot just since the beginning of 2022. And it is very much like, hey, like, you can be a vendor partner, but you're out and you're building relationships. You're not just talking at people.
I love that. And that's a big thing, because you do want somebody that has the same mindset and
Mhm.
the same attitude that you have and the same energy that you're bringing to it. So that's a great point to make.
Yeah.
Any other last minute suggestions for us?
Um, just do it. Don't overthink it.
Just do it. That's
Just
the
do
best
it.
word you
I'm
can
gonna
say.
Nike
Just
it.
go for it.
Yes.
So, well, I love that, Kristen. Thank you for joining me today, and thank you for all your great tips. And
Yeah.
I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Korah.
Bye.